U.S. President Joe Biden hit the campaign trail amid growing calls for him to bow out of the race for a second term. Addressing supporters in the key swing state of Michigan, Biden struck a defiant tone and vowed to continue in the race. He said he was the only Democrat who had beaten Trump and said he will beat him again in November. Biden also attacked Trump's record in office and called him a loser. Michigan is part of the trio of blue wall states, along with Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, that are key to a victory in November. He made it clear in his address that he was answerable to those who had selected him as their candidate.
I'm the nominee of this party because 14 million Democrats like you voted for me in the primaries. You made me the nominee, no one else, not the press, not the pundits, not the insiders, not donors. You, the voters, you decided, no one else, and I'm not going anywhere.
All right, well, let's go straight over to Janelle Dumalaon, who is at that Biden rally in Michigan, in the city of Detroit. Janelle, great to see you as always. So an energetic speech from Joe Biden there in Detroit. What are your main takeaways from it?
Well, as you know, Pablo, we've arrived at a time where how Joe Biden delivers his message is as important, if not more important, than what he actually says. So you're right there. This was a vigorous and energetic Joe Biden. I think the last time that I saw him as energetic was the State of the Union address. This was the Joe Biden that people wish showed up to that first disastrous debate between himself and Donald Trump. But worth noting, of course, that this is a complete comfort zone for him. He's surrounded by cheering supporters. He's able to read prepared remarks off a teleprompter. But what struck me content-wise was how willing and aggressive he was in terms of going after Donald Trump. So he called Donald Trump a rapist. He reminded people here that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. He said that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. He reminded people of the threat posed by Agenda 2025. That is the assumed blueprint of Trump's second administration, if he were to get one. It includes such things as abolishing the Department of Education. But the fact that he was able to do that is probably going to allay some of the concerns that his supporters have, that he no longer had it in him to go after Donald Trump in this way, in the way that he did not manage during the debate. So that's what they got from him today.
Right, well, you've had a chance to speak to people there at this Biden rally in Detroit. What have they been saying to you?
Well, I would like to bring up again that these were cheering supporters at this rally. So as such, their messages when they talked to me they ran along similar lines. They think that Joe Biden is the man for the job because he has been doing the job. They pointed to his record of job creation, of sweeping legislation. They also said that they were motivated by fears of Project 2025 and the threat that Donald Trump, that a second Donald Trump term could bring. But I'd like to point out that we are in Michigan, and this is not an easy voting demographic for Joe Biden. So you had the rally here inside, but outside you also had protesters from the Abandon Biden movement. And that, of course, those are protesters that are trying to get voters to do just that, abandon Biden, because they're angry with him over his handling of the Israel-Gaza war. One of them even told me that the handling of the Israel-Gaza war told him that Biden no longer had the moral authority to lead, but these age concerns of the last days told him that Biden no longer had the capacity to lead. So that's two issues that represent liabilities for Biden that are converging in that one protest group.
All right, we've got about 30 seconds left, Janelle. So briefly, if you could, do you think that this rally and that extended news conference that he had yesterday are going to stop the pressure on him from other Democrats?
Not quite yet, Pablo, because what that debate, of course, did was that it raised the bar for every single performance that Joe Biden would have from here on out. With every performance, he has to knock it out of the park. So what he has to be able to show is that he can deliver a performance like this every single day for the next 4 months, and if elected, for the next 4 years. And that is something that we don't know just yet.
Thanks, Janelle, as always. DW's correspondent in the United States, Janelle Dumalaon, joining us from Detroit.
Let's talk about that with Dr. Jackson Janes. He's a resident senior fellow at the German Marshall Fund. Welcome to the program, Dr. Janes. We just heard the president say there that he's not going anywhere. Do you believe him?
I think he believes it, and I think it's going to be pretty much what's going to continue down the road until there's some clarity in the Democratic Party about this question. They can't hold on for much longer to see whether or not it's going to be him or someone else. So they are in limbo at the moment. But I don't think Biden is going anywhere, as he just said.
Well, there is this uncertainty in the Democratic Party, but we also have seen this immense focus on every single gaffe made by Biden, including by the media. Do you find that focus unfair?
I do, in the sense that there is so much more to be talked about with regard to where Trump has done some similar type of flaws in his own presentations. And so the loss of the focus on what's at stake in this election is rather disappointing, because it seems to muddy the waters about what this election is all.
What do you think the Democratic Party needs to do now to save itself one way or the other?
They have to clarify who's going to be the candidate. I mean, that's the bottom line. And it seems to me that the question can't wait till too much longer. Or not. But at some point or another, they're going to have to, as we say in English, fish or cut bait. And at this juncture, I think that the division is going to really be as much of a contribution to their loss as they fear that there might be a loss with Biden. The question also comes up with many of them who are worried about their own futures in this context of seeing whether Biden is going to lose, that they may lose their seats in the House or the Congress or the Senate. So there's that mix as well. But they can't really go on too much longer with this ambiguity facing them.
That's right. But speaking of personal worries and zooming out a bit, you focus on German-American relations, and we saw Chancellor Scholz defend Biden at the recent NATO summit. But do you think there are internal worries here in Germany about President Biden's ability to beat Trump?
I wouldn't know too much about whether or not the Germans are worried about Biden. I think they're much more worried about Trump. And so the question really comes down to who is going to be able to defeat Trump. That's the bottom line, I think, in Germany. The question is also going to be whether or not Biden in the domestic scene is going to be able to make his arguments as forcefully as he's made them with foreign policy. The speeches that he gave recently at the NATO summit were very convincing. And it seems to me that the issue is going to be for the Germans and the Europeans in general, is there going to be a possibility that Mr. Biden will continue to be in the White House, or will there be someone else who will be equally adamant about the need for a strong transatlantic relationship?
Dr. Jackson Janes there from the German Marshall Fund. Thank you so much for your clear analysis.
Thank you.